Welcome back to this week's edition of the Esports Tower Rumble, brought to you by Shenandoah University. We are broadcasting live from the Shenandoah Esports Arena. I am, but my friend here, Kyler Abgar, hails from far away. Kyler, how are you tonight?
Man, I'm doing wonderful. It's a rainy night here in Columbus, but it's warm in this webcam call with you right now, Xander.
Ooh.
It's beautiful.
Oh, that feels so nice. Well, we've got a couple of great games here going on tonight. We actually have the semifinals of the Fall Championships, a best of 7. It's going to be one amazing bout of Overwatch 2 that we're going to get to watch tonight. The Stingrays versus the Hammerheads. And Kyler, I want to tell you, actually, the last time these two faced off, it was a best of 5, and it went all the way to game 5. So these teams clearly very, very close in skill level. And I mean, if that best of 5 is any indicator of what we should expect tonight, it's going to be just lights out Overwatch. I mean, I know that you didn't necessarily get to watch the matchups, but based off of, with those two types of matchups and when things are so close and then now you're coming together in a semifinal match to see who can make it to the grand finals, what do you feel like is at stake for these two teams, especially kind of competing at this high school level? They've got a lot of eyes on their competition, trying to get into that collegiate competition level, looking to get recruited and stuff by colleges. Where do you think this sort of level of competition stacks for a lot of these players?
It's a great question, man, and I'm really interested to see how they're gonna be able to proceed going forward here, in the sense that you said, right, they've had so much familiarity with each other to learn their games, whether they're playing with each other or against each other. It's they've done such a great job so far all season, throughout all of the seasons that we've seen so far of these Esports Towers Rumble, of making those adjustments and playing together as a team. It's not even necessarily individual performances, although we've seen incredible standout performances by so many of these players. Namely, I think of Triplet from last season when I was doing so many of these esports, or rather of these esports tower rumbles. They were just phenomenal. Triplet was standout, whether you put them on the back line, whether you put them on DPS or tank, so flexible in so many different roles. And that's what I think is so fun about watching these. And so to kind of answer your question, in terms of what we should expect, I don't expect anything less than just super high caliber play from these players from what we've continued to see throughout these entire seasons, Andrew. It's gonna be fun, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, Triplet was awarded the Esports Tower Fall Overwatch MVP award. So definitely a player to look out for tonight on the Stingrays. Really, really excited to see how the team rallies behind a player like that who can really have breakout games and start to set the tone for what their team should be doing in and out of team fights and sort of that middle game when ultimates aren't going to be necessarily up. So we'll see how that sort of goes in the neutral game. But it looks like we're about ready for game number 1. So we're going to hop right into it as we're going to be going to Oasis. And it's going to be a push map here. So a really great way for these players to start out. There's not really any offense or defense you have to get your mind into. You really have to get your mindset into both constantly through pushes. It really is a reverse tug of war as you try to get to their side of the map.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we start to see, we get a look here. I don't think it's gonna be push going in. It should be control on this first map, which should be good all the same. It's gonna be great to watch, but to kind of compound on what you said, it's still the same deal. Not necessarily attack or defense, right? We have to come together onto this middle point here. It's gonna be great to see. I'm super excited. We've got a lot of these performers that I've mentioned before that I'm super familiar with, and that I've seen before all season. We've got C Squared returning. We've got Illusion, Spacefire on defense. We've got Frozen Phoenix on the other side. It's going to be so much fun to watch. Both of these teams really bring a lot of dynamicism and differences in their play style. As you can see, Frozen Phoenix coming out on the Rhine, but Spacefire coming out on the Winston. It's gonna be entirely different. Stingrays coming with a little bit more of a traditional dive comp is what we'll be seeing. Triplet gonna really be commandeering that on the Lucio, as we'll see the speed is able to get them into position so quickly, starting to put damage out into the chokes already. But we see Triplet trying to go in and see if he can measure some sort of boop here. Not just enough as Soup is able to get up here on the Baptiste. Frozen Phoenix, though, is able to find a straight come out here. Both teams going back and forth. Triplet finally able to put Soup down as we see Frozen Phoenix trying to put some pressure on, but Triplet is going to evade and get away there.
Beautiful.
Tactics doing such a great job here. The Stingrays are of just being around, continuously putting pressure on all sides, and really just spreading the Hammerheads out, which is really going to be the trouble here, Xander, that you'll see the Hammerheads have face going into later here this round. They'll likely need to make a change because they won't be able to pin the Stingrays down. Just look at how mobile this comp is.
Oh, yeah.
Illusion getting damage in from all sides, able to find trap. And look, before they're even able to engage the fight, Spacefire finds two. And this is, again, unless the Hammerheads make a change, this is going to be the story of this match here.
Now the Stingrays did lose Triplet there in that last fight, now finally back up, but the pressure stays on, right? Stingrays remain in command of the point, so they're going to have those points ticking up towards that 100% to win the round. So while it was a good trade back, the Stingrays still remained in control, not only of the numbers on the map, but also of the point itself. So now, finally, we're going to see another engagement here as the Hammerheads move in once again to try and stem the bleeding a little bit here. And it looks like they're doing a pretty good job as far as the previous pushes go. They've got something a little bit sustained here. Now Illusion is going to fall, and that's a really good pick here for early game fights for the Hammerheads. Now that's another one, Spacefire, going to be falling as well. And once again, now it looks like the Hammerheads might actually be able to get control of this if they're able to eliminate the final Stingrays.
No, really great fight by Hammerheads there. Stingrays committed two powerful ults early. Primal Rage and Blade, we saw it come out there by two really great players, Spacefire and Illusion. But Hammerheads stayed strong, and I mean, that's the value of this comp, right? Is if Stingrays have to play into them as a whole and they don't get spread out, then they'll do well to kind of maintain, and that's what we saw there. As we see Echo Online finding the early pick on Troll there, who's on the Sojourn. Blake goes ahead and puts out there, tries to get the blossom and puts Spacefire down. Spacefire finds a great bubble and shuts it down, and now the Stingray are on the front foot here. Here they go, rolling in. Wizard comes down, and Jones Point well off. And Hammerheads are now getting in Frozen Phoenix, who has been a standout. We talked so much about some of these players and their ability, and Frozen Phoenix continually showed their level of play as well. It just single-handedly really brings the Hammerheads back into a fight. They looked all but lost there, Sander, and now Hammerheads are sitting here in a point where they are not at a bad ult economy. They do have bad disadvantage here, and this Shatter has find a lot of value here, with Spacefire being in the front line. Not necessarily a dedicated tank hero, although Winston is able to go ahead and really counter that Shatter well sometimes. It's going to be tough here as you see him dive out here. The Shatter's looking possible, and does just enough to find the important ones. Triplet on point still, which is a nightmare in most scenarios. They're going to back out here. Hammerhead still on the front foot. Get this thing back well, Xander, just when you thought they were out there.
Wow. Not only are they back, they now retain the lead and are building on it. And I want to note that before, I think I saw last week, Echo Online went onto this May pick, and we were kind of thinking, a little bit cheesy here, but boy, oh boy, the pressure that Echo Online was able to create with that May was unbelievable. So really nice to see that once again this week here now when everything is on the line in the semifinals. Yeah. And if you guys are unaware, for viewers at home, this is actually to go to the grand finals of the championship, and where they will face off against the waiting Barracudas, who made it out with the best record from the round robin. So Look at that. The Hammerheads are able to pull through and basically what the essentially would be like a reverse sweep where they were down 80-0 and just go 100 straight. Unbelievable stuff.
They won one fight and controlled the map after that. And that can be the trouble with that dive comp sometimes, is that when you get broken a little bit, you're really able to take advantage of a bad positioning rather by the other team, which I think the Hammerheads had coming into that. Again, they were getting picked off early deaths there that we saw. They were just getting kind of pounced on and then just changed the entire fabric of the game. You mentioned it. Echo Online with the May did such a good job of zoning point off with those walls, finding value. They removed that primary fire freeze that made her so prominent in Overwatch 1. And that's been an adjustment for May players. Like you said, it seems a little bit like a meme pick sometimes, but she's finding her place as Triplet finds the boot.
Oh my goodness.
Going hard here. Trades back and forth, though. We'll see if they're able to find Spacefire, who swapped over to the Rhine at the end of the last round. See what happens here. It's not. Triplet is hanging on for dear life, doing just enough.
But hanging!
C squared finds Echo Line at the end there. And this is something that we've seen consistently throughout these Esports Tower Rumble, is the ability of these teams to heal and stay alive and re-engage these fights so fast. Look, they're already back in. Stingrays went down. Hammerheads capped and are still able to get points on the board here. But Stingrays contest immediately and flip it right back.
Wow.
It's just so well done, the coordination of these teams.
I mean, you can see why Triplet there got the Overwatch MVP for the fall, for the entire fall. Just the survivability and being able to stay alive and create problems for the Hammerheads. Just, you know, basically just riding above that one doorway early on and then staying alive and becoming a nuisance, putting down damage and creating heals for his team. Just an amazing job. Maybe even kind of setting the tone and getting into the Hammerheads' heads a little bit with the fact that you just can't take him down.
He's in partnered now with C squared. I mean, they're such a strong backline duo. Kiriko is just one of the strongest supports in the game right now, probably the strongest support in the game. As you see, C squared gets the headshot onto Blank. Spacefire puts the shatter down. Echo Online goes down as well. Illusion finds Soup, and Stingrays are going to stay on top here. They are just locked in. Ever since Spacefire switched over to that Rhine, it really feels like that's enabled them to make the space that they need and really just run head on into the Hammerheads.
Yeah,
which is usually dangerous out of nature, but
that shatter, I mean, that set the tone for the entire fight there. Spacefire landing it on several Hammerheads, and the rest of the team just able to clean up, and they're maintaining control here. As like you said, when they flipped it back, they've now not turned back and have controlled this ever since. Now, not to say that people can't turn it around at 99 overtime and come back and win, but it's looking really good for the Stingrays and how they've been consistently controlling the map so far. Now 3 dead for Hammerheads, and they've got 4% left to get back in here and contest the point.
Yeah,
and it's not going to happen.
Not going to happen. Stingrays really got it together there. Great play by Troll there on the May to really to mirror that Hammerhead Troll pick and to get such great value out of it. You saw that wall, you saw the Blizzard come in, and then the Kitsune rush by C squared there with Kiriko really wrapped it up. They were able to put that last fight in the bag. And the Stingrays, after getting throttled on that first round, they're looking strong now. And if Spacefire continues to really lead the way here on this Rhine, if Triplet can enable this team to move forward like they have been so far, I don't see why the Stingrays won't put this thing away quickly here, Xander.
No, absolutely. And if you take, honestly, I would almost prefer winning, if you're tied 1-1, I would almost prefer winning the second round, because then you've got the momentum going into the final round, right? And hopefully be able to pull map 1.
Absolutely, yeah. And just as we see these teams now starting to engage early, and we're starting to see this mirror comp come out really. The only difference here being Derman on this Baptiste, that's going to switch it up a little bit, which is an interesting pick. certainly some value here with Baptiste. As we can see, Dearman's been doing a great job so far. We've seen some of those immortality fields come out. Troll puts Blank down early here, and it's looking like Stingrays are going to do just enough to capture this point first. Hammerheads fighting off the back foot once more, something that they're not accustomed to coming into this series. They've been playing, as we saw in the first round, made that tremendous comeback from 80-0 down. We're going to have to really dig deep here. Frozen Phoenix, though, already on a shatter. It's going to be a big difference maker here as we see Spacefire getting close as well. Triplet very close to that beat. It's going to be big. Troll now flirting that Blizzard. Stingray's doing a great job in ult economy. That wall comes out and Frozen Phoenix is in a rough spot. Shatter comes down, but it's blocked by Frozen Phoenix.
Oh my
Frozen
goodness.
Phoenix comes around the corner with a huge shatter, but no picks are found just yet. Illusion finds Blank in the backline. Big beat by Triplet to sustain the team. And now the Stingrays are on the front foot here. Let's see what they can do. Big wall comes out now by Echo Online, but the Stingrays are finding picks. What a fight. Great sustain showed by Stingrays. Hammerheads came around. Frozen Phoenix had the big shatter. He found the perfect moment to sneak it past the shield of Spacefire, but it wasn't enough. The supports of the Stingrays just an unbelievable masterclass there to keep the team alive and sustain this fight. Let's see what Echo Online can do now. The Blizzard comes out early, but Spacefire finds the pick. The Kitsune Rush comes out here for the Stingrays. Let's see what they're able to do. Pin into the back line, but Frozen Phoenix is in a rough spot here. No picks are coming from the Hammerheads. So much is happening. We see the Blossom put down, but the bad manners shatter to shut it down. So much is happening on every front, but nothing positive for the Hammerheads. The Stingrays hang on in there at 90% and counting. This game is almost all but lost for the Hammerheads, Xander.
Wow. I mean, it came down to a few pivotal moments there, and it really was, just the difference of, even though Spacefire's shatter got blocked and Frozen Phoenix returned in kind, the support right after, wow, a nice little pin there to try and take down Ball. Maybe knock Ball down into the hole, but I think it may or may not be enough. But either way, oh no, going to be sustained and rolling around and creating some chaos here. But yeah, it didn't look like the support came through behind Frozen Phoenix after there was several members going to the ground from the Frozen Phoenix shatter. And unfortunately, now it's down to the final member of the Hammerheads holding on to the point. And that's going to be the Stingrays going up 1-0 in this best of 7. A really, really great job by the Stingrays to not only keep their cool, but, oh, look at that top 500 challenger as Lucio. Let's take a look at this play. And this is just one of those moments where you're going, oh my goodness, they have such great movement.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about Triplet thoroughly just in what they continue to do, enabling their team not only from the back line and being that typical support where they're keeping the team alive, they're giving utility through their abilities. Triplet gives you kills too. You have to watch out.
Yeah.
We saw early on when he was playing Kiriko in some of the other series, just a headshot demon. You could not just be lurking in sightlines around him. It's impossible. And you see that continues through all of his play into the Lucio as well, getting boops, healing team, just putting all of his players in the right spots, doing a great job. The backline of the Stingrays really enabled that win there.
Yeah, absolutely, and you just can't disregard the impact the Triplet's been having on the plays or on the game so far. Though we are only through game number 1, we are here every single week, and if you would like to learn more about Esports Tower, you can go ahead and check out their socials on just about every single platform. It's going to be Esports Tower. That's on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. And of course, if you'd like to see a little bit more about Shenandoah University and the offerings that we have, you can check out our Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at ShenU Esports. And if you want to go ahead and check out our Twitch and YouTube, it's Shenandoah Esports as well. So, boy, do I love Overwatch, and I can't wait to see more of this Overwatch action unfold as we now only have the Stingrays up 1-0 in this best of 7. We'll see if the Hammerheads are able to bounce back. They definitely showed a little bit of fight taking down round number 1. But now we're moving over to Dorado, and it's going to be a little bit different style of gameplay. They're going to have to switch up their tempo a little bit and see who can really control the speed of things. And will it be down to Frozen Phoenix and the tanks, or will Triplet step in on that support role and really start to control the map once again?
Yeah, certainly some difference in style that's going to have to be explored here. A little bit more traditional defense that we're going to be seeing, right, in terms of what these teams will be can set up with, and I think that will favor the Hammerheads. That's something that we saw them do really well on that early on Oasis there. So it'd be interesting to see them kind of continue through how they'll be able to do that. And like you said, they were able to find some sort of momentum, find a win early on, so they know that they can do it. Right? This isn't just some sort of curb stomp that we've seen where they just got washed by the Stingrays the entire time. There's a possibility there. They know that they have the ability. So I'll be really interested to see who's going to step up for them and make the plays to lead them here.
Absolutely. And the Hammerheads during the round robin actually fell into a bit of an early hole there in a couple of early losses, and eventually would bring it back to game 5. But obviously they want to try and avoid falling into that same hole here as the hole gets bigger and bigger with a best of 7, and they can be down 3-0 before you know it and have to basically win 4 straight. So we'll see whether or not the Hammerheads are able to bounce back. I think this would be a really, really great map for them to do so. And essentially tie it up and, return this whole thing back to what would be then a best of 5, right? First to 3, because they both have 1 win to their name already. But they've got 4 to go, and this is just the first among many if they're looking to make that comeback. So we'll see whether or not the Hammerheads are able to do so, or if the Stingrays are going to really start pulling ahead.
I'm really excited to see Frozen Phoenix on this Doom. I think that's going to be kind of the story of this round, to see how that plays here. As the Stingrays come out on that dive comp that we kind of saw them tease a little bit on Oasis, that the Hammerheads were able to really take advantage of well. But we see Triplet there finding Blank, which is a nightmare as a Widow. You have that aggressive Lucio player that just wants to beat you up so bad.
Of course. You just want to create space. You're like, I want to shoot you from far away. And he's like, no.
Let me have fun playing the game. Go heal your team. We know how Triplet operates. That's not what's going to happen. As we see the Stingrays putting out continuous damage here, Spacefire gets dangerously low. Let's see if they're able to survive. Keep staying up somehow. The Hammerheads aren't able to put them out. As we see Blank swap off that Widow onto the Sombra, and Frozen Phoenix is finally able to put that Spitfire down. Troll getting hacked here, and that's going to be tough to have to deal with. Sombra so strong launching the block too. Let's see if they're able to kind of on here to certainly nerf a little bit in terms of the damage that she's able to do and that hack time here, but still such a viable, strong character, especially against the dive that the Stingrays have rolled out here. Speaking of the Stingrays, ult economy in their favor as of so far. Spacefire with the Primal Rage here, Illusion with the Pulse Bomb as well. Let's see what the Hammerheads are able to do. Flirting with some ults of their own. Soup already on that beat here. Gonna be huge. Frozen Phoenix also getting pretty close to his as well.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, just having a solo beat can turn the entire tide of a major team fight if timed correctly. Unfortunately, that would only fall on 4 players at this point, as Echo Online is already down, Blank coming dangerously close, and now it doesn't even matter because Soup has fallen and unable to cast that ultimate. So the Stingrays now in a 5-2 favor in this team fight, and they're going to start pushing the Hammerheads back a little bit here. Hammerheads kind of hit a wall around this first turn, and a sustainable fight for the Stingrays as they continue to put the pressure on this offense.
This first Dorado point is tough. Excuse me, sorry. It's a tough push for the offensive team. We've seen so often where the cart spawns right outside there, teams have such trouble pushing right there. It's such a good hold for a defensive team, and that's what we saw the Stingrays deploy there early. They really made the Hammerheads earn that first fight And now they've got the cart in another really defensible position here, where the Hammerheads really have to funnel in right into the defense of the Stingrays, and that's what we see. Spacefire leaping out. We see the beat come out here by Triplet. Now Troll sitting on a Blossom here.
Oh my
We see
goodness.
Frozen Phoenix swap over from that Doomfist to the Roadhog now. And let's see what they're able to do. This is a Blossom opportunity
I'm
for Troll, who
saying.
doesn't want to use it. Is just rolling in, wants to just left click it down, and they are going to do so. The Kitsune Rush was enough in and of itself. Spacefire already close to another Primal Rage here. They're just playing around with Echo Online, making the stagger rough.
So
20 seconds online for the Hammerheads now. Let's see what they're able to do, Xander. It's gonna be tough.
let me ask you, if you're on offense here and you've been stuck in this position, what major changes are you going to make to your offensive push that are going to maybe switch some things up? What if you were IGL? What would you call to your team?
It's tough, man, because the Stingrays are doing such a great job, and it's so late into this round now as we see Troll with a big 3K Blossom. I think, Xander, to answer your question, what I would have tried to do a little bit earlier there would be to try to meet the Stingrays on that high ground instead of trying to play and funnel through the cart path. Try to win these fights first, right? Worry
Mm-hmm.
less about the objective and more about the elimination and trying to create some space. I think Frozen Phoenix had that idea with the Doom. We saw them trying to contest there early, but there wasn't enough follow up or really ability to follow up by the team, right? We didn't see a Kiriko, we didn't see a Farah, we didn't see anybody that had the ability to really follow up on that high ground. And I think that stifled the attack of the Hammerheads early there.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, honestly, the Hammerheads are in trouble as Stingrays don't have to make it all that far to take a clean victory here as they went pointless through the first round. Stingrays really just need to, they don't even need to get to the first point. They need to get to 2/3 of the way to the first point, and they just take map 2.
Yeah, a really staunch defense by the Stingrays, who seem to be locked in right now. And you talked about it earlier, right? Going down 3-0 is a fear. I mean, especially after what seems to be a quick 2-0 here, that they may be up. So the Hammerheads, I like that they're switching up a little bit. We see that Frozen Phoenix is now swapping over onto the Winston, which is a great defensive pick here. As you can see, really playing these rooftops like we saw Spacefire doing last round for the Stingrays, who is now on that Roadhog. Might be a little bit of a nightmare depending on how things go. So we'll see what they're able to do. Hammerheads giving the Stingrays a little bit of space here, waiting for them to get into that corner, and now just trying to terrorize them from the top ground. But we see Illusion already rolling around, trying to
my
put some
gosh.
pressure onto Echo Online. And the Stingrays are already halfway there. There goes the pick onto Blank, and that's going to open up a lot of space here
Oh
for the
boy.
Stingrays. Triplet finds Echo Online as well, and they are close. All they need to do is win this fight, and that is going to be it. The trap Frozen Phoenix, who's now going to go down. The Stingrays right on the precipice of pushing this thing to a quick 2-0.
Wow. I know what's funny is the Stingrays didn't even necessarily need to get picks there to get a really solid first push. Even if they all went down, they were still most of the way right to the win. And really what it came down to is they created enough chaos throughout different parts of the map that they just had 2 or 3 people sitting on the point, and it was just pushing up really, really cleanly. And there's that Death Blossom that we saw earlier. Beautiful 3-piece into a couple cleanups, and what a great job by the Stingrays to continue the dominance that they showed in the second 2 rounds of map number 1. And boy, I mean, you said staunch defense, and then what was left in round number 2 for them on offense wasn't much. They didn't need to put up that big of a fight on offense because they did all the work on defense.
You're right. Yeah, that's what they say. Defense wins championships. Right? We see it applies here in Overwatch as well. All right,
Apparently.
it finds a place. And no, you're right. I mean, I think Spacefire really enabled his team to move forward there. The fear of the hook of Roadhog necessarily doesn't even have to be the efficacy of it or the practicality. It can really just be if they know if they hang out there, they will get pulled off that high ground,
Yep.
and it was enough. And and we saw the Stingrays just take advantage of the space that was given to them. The, the defense wasn't employed as strictly as we saw them right outside of the spawn there, and really they were just able to take advantage, and that was all she wrote. A quick
Absolutely.
2-0 here.
Yeah, and if I'm Hammerheads, I'm figuring out real quick. Obviously, I'm talking with my esports tower coaches that are available to every team and player. If you sign up for esports tower, I'm talking to them, trying to figure out what sort of changes we can make, mid series, and if there are any changes I don't know necessarily who the IGL is. I think based off of my notes from the coaches that it looks to be Frozen Phoenix making a lot of those big calls. And so if I'm Frozen Phoenix, I'm trying to make some big calls, trying to lead the team and not only with my words and great calls, but also with plays like we saw earlier on, blocking a shatter and getting one of my own, but also using my communication to get the rest of my team at that point, ready to put down the damage while the entire team is immobilized. So a lot of big motion needs to happen for this Hammerheads team if they want to get back into this series. And a bit of a hole. Stingrays have come out really, really strong, but we've got game 3 up ahead of us. So let's go ahead and take a look at the map. This one's going to be going over to Kings Row, and boy, is this just a fan favorite, a player favorite, a you and me favorite. I love this map.
It's just so beautifully done, right? It allows and it enables so many different types of play styles and comps, different things that you get to see here. You get to see DPS pop offs, you get to see support plays, you get to see tank value. Really everything that your heart desires can be found here in Kings Row. I'm really looking forward to see how these teams kind of employ what they do to really get themselves their flexibility. Must win game here for the Hammerheads though. So
Oh,
you got to see your best.
absolutely. Have to win this game. Otherwise, you're down 3-0, and the other team just needs to get to 4, right? So putting yourself at a match point this early on in a best of 7 is almost a death sentence for any team. Obviously, they've pushed them to a game number 5 and a best of 5 before. So the Hammerheads have shown bouts of competitive equivalency to the Stingrays game plan. But so far, the Stingrays have... I don't know what they did. They must have changed a few things, had a few players step in and really turn it on for this this semifinal matchup. And so far to me, the Stingrays have proven that they want to go ahead and go on to the Barracudas, who wait in the grand finals for next week. So that's coming up next week. But boy, oh boy, Stingrays are looking good tonight. Hammerheads not out of it by any means. Down 2 maps, but you got to win map number 3. Otherwise, you're in deep trouble.
Yeah, you said it, man. Right? Yeah, going down 3-0 in any sense. Again, I know I pulled out the traditional sports adage of defense wins championships, but you do not often see teams come back from 3-0 deficits. It's just so difficult, and I couldn't put it past nearly anyone to beat the Stingrays team in four matches in a row.
4 matches in a row after you've just lost 3 in a row. It's a
So
tall
difficult.
order. So yeah, you start with one game at a time, right? That's what I always tell my teams when I'm trying to coach somebody up. It's like, if you're down, you start with the first game ahead of you. You don't look at it like you've got to win 4 games somewhere in the next 5, right? You've got to win at least just the next one. Win the next one. Focus on the next play, the next game.
Your coaching wisdom no bounds, Xander. I completely agree with you. And I think what I'm looking at the Hammerheads to do here, and I like it with Blake, showing that Widow early and trying to find the pick, is that the Hammerheads have not been able to find these first picks in the fight, as you see that they're doing right now, right? Triplet, very difficult to kill here on the Lucio, as you can see, just getting out and getting his team out. And this is what I want to highlight again, because it happens so quickly, and it's a pretty hard thing to identify if maybe you don't watch Overwatch a ton. But the Hammerheads did something they haven't done so far, which is get the first kills of the fight. They came out early. They got the first 2 picks against the Stingrays. If you notice, the Stingrays accepted that fight was lost, backed out, and have gotten everybody back. And look, now they have leveled this. This is a 5v5. Illusion puts Echo down already on that Sojourn. Troll finds Soup. Frozen Phoenix fights back here, though, and finds Spacefire, but it's not going to be enough. Troll finds Frozen Phoenix as well now. Frozen Phoenix has made the change onto the DPS line, playing Sojourn. And I cannot express to you how, if I'm a college coach, honestly, and I watch how the Stingrays just responded to losing 2 players early in that fight, I'm ecstatic. I'm writing up scholarship letters right now, honestly, because it was just that's something that takes so much organization and so much discipline to employ. And they just did it flawlessly. But now, Hammerhead's rolling out onto the point. Dearman with an incredible window to really enable Frozen Phoenix to get out here and put damage down. We see Illusion trying to find something, but it's not going to be enough. Hammerheads with some life here, Xander, did a great job to regain. And I'm talking about scholarships and stingrays and everything that they did there. But the Hammerheads will not be overshadowed. Great job of getting back onto that point quickly. Frozen Phoenix able to find the picks. Dearman again enabling the team with that window by the Baptiste. We see Blank put this tire out early, which I love to see. Again, trying to enable the team find early picks here, which is something that they haven't done as of so far. Troll finding Dearman here. Really, again though, if you're the Hammerheads, you see your players going down early, certainly something that you don't like to see, but you forced C Squared to use their ult economy early. C Squared had to use the Kitsune Rush nearly out of their spawn. Triplet had to do the same to save team from that tire. You're not in a bad spot if you're the Hammerheads right now, although we do see the Stingrays.
Oh boy.
Getting real aggressive here.
I'll say, yeah, essentially in the spawn. And you know what? Getting that first point actually was some of the first success they'd found since round number 1 of map number 1. So definitely something that maybe you're not used to as a team, feeling that success and maybe running away with it a little bit. And you did say early on they already got some picks right after they found that first point, started moving along. And then the Stingrays started to regain control of the map all the way back to their spawn. And something that's impressed me with the Stingrays so far is in multiple occasions, they've had a really nice spread throughout the map. Not necessarily like during engagements, but definitely during information gaining sessions when the Hammerheads weren't necessarily on point or near point. They had plenty of players out collecting data from the map to figure out where the Hammerheads were going to be pushing and when. And then finally, when they started seeing aggression, they all collapsed back to the point to fight as a team. Hammerheads did end up winning that fight, but then the Stingrays have been doing a really good job with the information since. But the Hammerheads now 3 down on the Stingrays, and they are about to get the second point of map number 3.
I really like what you were saying there too, Xander, with the value not even necessarily being in, you know, the mechanical ability of what these players can do, with the information gathering, relaying, communication, that we obviously can't hear their comms, but you can just infer by their movement, you know, how they stay together as a team.
And how they split up.
Constantly. How they split up, yeah, and recover and regain.
Yeah.
It's incredible to watch, but as we were saying that, the Hammerheads are finding their movement. Blank has been showing out on this jump grab, by the way, has really found themselves, has found their rhythm here, and is putting the pressure onto the Stingrays, who are now having to make switches. We see Spacefire go from that Orisa onto the Winston here. The window goes down here by Darriman, who's been doing a great job. Picks her down. Frozen Phoenix finds Spacefire, and they are making space here. We're seeing Troll now go onto the Tracer to try to do something to touch. Kitsune Rush goes down here for the Stingrays as well immediately. We see Spacefire switch again now onto the Reinhardt, and Hammerheads just have all the answers. Soup puts down Triplet in the backline, and it is going to be all she wrote here. Push Hammerheads make statement victory here as I say that now. Troll rolling out onto the Tracer, but that's going to do it. Triplet rolling out as well. It's not going to be enough. Hammerheads 216 in the time bank. Statement offensive push there, Xander.
100%.
I love to see the fire get lit here on Kings Row.
unbelievable stuff from the Hammerheads. And I love that you said that about Blank sitting on that Junkrat. I believe I got notes about that player playing Junkrat in weeks past, and I never got to see a sustained push with Blank on Junkrat. And this time, it seemed like the grenades never, ever stopped hitting the exact right points. And that's exactly what happened. Constant barrage of grenades, always just raining down on the Stingrays. And that sort of damage cannot be ignored. Or really, you can't even hide very well if Blank has the angles, right? He can bounce those around the corners and make sure that you really don't have anywhere to hide. You basically just have to run or just take the damage. And then Hammerheads took advantage, and they've got 2:16 on the clock, 3 points to their name, and they've got a very comfortable time bank here and ready to make a stand against the Stingrays. We'll see if the Stingrays are able to make the similar push, as they do have the confidence with 2 wins to their name so far. But Hammerheads, you said it, a statement offensive push there.
They needed that, like we had said going into this match, and they brought it. And yeah, I really want to shout out Blank, because I think their Junkrat play, like you said, has been oppressive so far, especially on this Kings Row map where these grenades can find so much value, and we had seen that. We also see Troll coming out early here on the Widow, just trying to see if they can find a pick. Gets Echo online dangerously low, but it's not going to be enough. We'll see them switch now onto the Sojourn. That's certainly going to be something that will find a lot of effect in. Pharmacy comes out, which is something that we see really for the first time here in this series. Be interesting, but it's finding a lot of value.
Oh boy.
Illusion putting down a ton of damage, and the Stingrays are really just finding their place here now. They're going to be able to cap this first point here with relative ease, Xander.
Wow, yeah. I mean, that's a ton of Hammerheads falling, all really at the right moment for the Stingrays to be able to get a lot of damage down onto this point. And yeah, that's going to be just an easy cap early on. 5.5 minutes to get the job done the rest of the way. And now it's a race against the clock to see not whether or not they're able to get to 3 points, but how quickly they're able to do it if they want to really have any chance in overtime against the Hammerheads, because they put up a fantastic time left and are going to have really just their run-of-the-mill. If the Stingrays are able to push back through, Hammerhead's going to have a lot more time to work with, depending on where the Stingrays sit with their offensive push here. But they continue to roll slowly, 1-1 currently, with players being down. And the Stingrays, yeah, they're just going to continue to create that space, make sure the Hammerheads never really get too close to halt and contest the payload. And they're just going to roll already halfway through to point number 2.
We see the Kitsune Rush go out there, but Hammerheads do well to shut it down, put Triplet down right away. Spacefire finds place as well. Frozen Phoenix just popping off now on this Sojourn, doing such a great job. We see Blank also swap from that Junkrat onto the Cassidy, which would be a really great pick here in order to really have to contest this Pharah. Illusion now gets this barrage off and finds 2 ults galore, but it goes into the favor of Stingrays. Pop that Primal Rage as well and wipe out all of the Hammerheads. Extinction level event. You hate to see it.
My
Very
goodness.
scary.
I really like the positioning of the Hammerheads and how they were sort of situating themselves after that one team fight. But boy, did the Stingrays just sting right back. They are the stronger of the predators in the water at this moment. I don't think Stingrays actually are meat eaters, but currently they are taking the Hammerheads to lunch.
you said it, Xander, and they're just making all the right
I don't know how I got there, but we've figured something out.
It was beautifully and masterfully done, and I always have faith in your ability to do so. And the Stingrays are continuously pushing forward here, doing a great job, man. And to your point, really, they're just being. I said it before, they're just being oppressive here, doing a really great job of kind of staying on the front foot. And now you see here 4.5 minutes left in the time bank, and they cannot stop finding picks here. Illusion finds Soup, We see Blank switch now onto the Hanzo, which will give them a little bit here more in terms of verticality and mobility. Frozen Phoenix doing just such a great job on this Sojourn, just continuously putting pressure out. Blank finds Triplet, and Hammerheads are now able to establish a little bit of defense as you see the remaining Stingrays trying to just pull out, salvage some sort of life that they can. And on the way out, Troll finds Frozen Phoenix, and that's going to give them something to go in on. As you can see, Spacefire takes that high ground immediately. Troll now on this Junkrat opening up, and we see the Kitsune Rush go out. The Stingrays are trying to put this thing away right now. Troll with another, finds 4 in this observing life.
Oh my goodness.
What a counterattack by the Stingrays. Just that's what you see. I talked about it before, and I know anybody that's listening to this right now is probably sick of me saying I don't have the Twitch chat open for this reason, because I just can't take the negative feedback. But here's what I'll say, all right? Stingrays, they did such a good job of pulling out together, and on the way out, that's what you see. That's all they need. One pick on the way out. Spacefire identifies it. They have everything back from spawn, and they leap on it immediately. Such a great read there. Great call outs, great coordination. They did exactly what they needed to do. And now the Hammerheads are in the proving grounds once more. They need to be able to push forward here on a shortened time bank. Stingrays have the extra minute under their belt. Not a significant difference, but enough to make note of. And certainly the Stingrays team, very, very strong. Any advantage to them is going to feel like Mount Everest to have to overcome.
My goodness. And it all came off the back of Frozen Phoenix, I think maybe getting a little too overconfident after what I saw to be, or what looked to be a really, really strong Sojourn ultimate. Railgun just laying down all sorts of damage, pushing the team out, and then maybe just a bit of an overextension, and Blank able to just, like I was saying, putting down the crazy grenades. I mean, it might have been one of those rockets coming through from far. So, like, just crazy, though, that on the way out, able to grab that pick around the corner, and that just opened up the door for the Stingrays to essentially clean sweep 5v4 all the way through to the victory. And now Hammerheads already a minute down, or not a minute down, but about 40 seconds down in their time bank. And that goes in the blink of an eye. Even though you think you have 2 minutes, all of a sudden you basically have 1 minute left, and you have no time on that first cap point.
You said it. And I mean, I always feel like I look at it as I allocate 1 minute to one fight. It is what it feels like sometimes. You can get them off quicker than that, 40 to 30 seconds sometimes, but that doesn't feel like a fully coordinated effort. If you really want to organize one of these fights, I really like, look at the tracking by Blake.
Wow.
Like, it's just a beast on this, or my lord.
And that was visor free. That was just great tracking.
That is just all aim training right there. Yeah, probably shout out. Yeah, very, very well done. You see Blake very effective on the soldier so far. And the Hammerheads executed a really great first push there. Took their time, didn't panic with the shortened time bank, and now they're pushing forward here. As we see Triplet causing some havoc for the back line.
Of course.
On this Kiriko.
Of course.
As they do.
Just able to sustain and create a little bit of havoc, slowing them down a little bit, actually taking some time off that clock for them, which is really, really great maneuver. Every second matters. Now, even more so, as they can't get off of the point without the overtime ending. So,
oh my gosh.
Wow.
Blink finds 3 with the visor to keep this going. Blink finds 4! My goodness! Blink has just been a beast on this soldier. Keeps the Hammerheads' hopes alive on King's Row. And really, in this series, Xander, we've been saying it over and over again. They cannot go down 3-0 to this Stingrays team, who's shown such strength so far. And they are hanging in there, man. They're doing everything in their power to stay alive. Great showing so far
Oh, here
on
we
the cusp
go.
of pushing the second one home.
Oh.
Tyre comes out, doesn't find anybody just yet. Stingrays engage early, and Illusion finds Frozen Phoenix, and that's going to be tough to bounce back from. Back online, finds Spacefire with the Orisa ult. Blake continues to pop off entirely on this soldier, puts. Oh my goodness, Illusion finds Soup here, but it's looking like the Hammerheads are in control. Are they going to be able to do enough to continue on? Illusion do everything they can to stay alive, but it's not going to be enough. Triple it now. The only remaining Stingray, Echo Online, wraps it up, and the Hammerheads have found another point here in overtime against all odds.
Wow.
So strong so far, Xander. My goodness, Blake has really been leading the way on this soldier. It's been incredible to watch.
And the fact that they've been able to do this for the most part on overtime, right? I mean, they ran out of time before even that second point, well before that second point, and they've just won a couple fights, and they're about to win another one. Spacefire, the remaining player, that's going to be another convincing team fight for the Hammerheads, and with the 3 players left alive, they're going to be able to get a little bit more distance. They're not going to be able to finish this one out per se, but definitely able to get a little bit of extra distance that otherwise might be difficult for the Stingrays to get on the other side of this when they flip over to offense.
Wow, and Frozen Phoenix finds another. The DPS of the Hammerheads really on display right now, but Stingrays are coming back in off the back of this beat by C-Squared, and it's looking like this is where the push will end. But if you are the Hammerheads, you feel great about that. Any distance that you can get in overtime, you're celebrating. But if you can finish a point and then even afterwards push it so deep into the third point, you are feeling great about yourself.
Wow.
3 minutes for the Stingrays, like you said, Xander. These minutes melt. They go by so quickly. The Hammerheads did a great job. And I haven't said it enough just yet. I haven't shouted out the backline of this Hammerheads team. With Diamond and Soup did such a great job. It cannot be overstated how difficult it is to stay alive as a Zenyatta when there is a Winston on the other team. It's a difficult thing to do. So there was a great level of coordination, a great level of ability by Soup there to stay alive as Zen and just keep contributing and producing. The Hammerheads are not dead just yet, Xander.
Wow. I mean, they had less time, but they were playing like they had all the time in the world and utilized every second they had up until overtime. And then come overtime, nearly got to a 6th point on the board in a game that goes to 3. Unbelievable stuff. But now the Stingrays on offense made quicker work of their first offensive scheme than the Hammerheads initially did. So certainly down, but definitely not out in map number 3. We'll just see how the Stingrays decide to open this one up, as they're really picking the, you know, we're going to fight you on the ground right here. No tricks, no flanks. We're just going to see who the better players are. And currently, the Hammerheads are standing pretty strong. They do lose Echo Online, but the remaining 4 continuing to stick around and even get Troll for their troubles. So
has been showing out here on this Zen, just doing such a great job. There were a couple times where they were getting dove on in that back line, but really were able to adjust. We see Spacefire here just charged up to the max, just pouring damage out here on this Zarya, and that's going to be tough to deal with. But Orisa is a good pick for this. It's somebody, a tank that can really absorb a lot of damage, has an ability that can really nullify the damage of the Zarya, but there it goes. It's not going to be enough. Hammerhead's doing everything they can to really just take time up off the time bank here. As you can see, Blank just trying to stay alive with this Reaper, contest it a little bit longer. It's not going to be enough. Stingrays are going to take this first point now, but a minute and a half. The Hammerheads still have light. They're still at the end of this tunnel. Let's see what they're able to do here. We see Echo Online go onto the Reinhardt, which I think will probably be a little more effective against Zarya here. But the Stingrays, I mean, they've got ults online, as do the Hammerheads. We're just going to see these teams just run into each other.
Oh, yeah. We're about to see some fireworks.
Whoever comes out alive is going to be the winner.
Oh, yeah. Minute and 20 seconds left on the clock. for the Stingrays. That does not include overtime, as we are kind of in overtime already. But the timeless overtime where they basically have to stay on the point through and through. And they can still, like, the Stingrays can still, they can afford losing a fight, right, up until that point ends. So they've got about a minute left, but I don't think that's in anybody's minds if you're the Stingrays. You're really focused on just getting to the next point, to the next elimination, trying to gain control of the map. And the Stingrays doing a really good job of doing just that. A couple Hammerheads trying to wrap around, potentially try and confuse the Stingrays or pull attention away from some of the major damage dealers, and really not going to do much to sway the Stingrays any direction but forward, as they are now about to get to their 5th point. But you can see there in the top, they actually have to get to that little yellow marker. A 5th point won't do them any good. This is a Death Blossom that's going to fall on deaf ears, as no damage really getting done to the Stingrays. And Blank's going to be a little bit sad for that one, but going to start, actually may have created enough chaos that the Hammerheads are going to, they just run out of time too. This is Hammerheads going. That is what the Hammerheads needed to happen. The Death Blossom didn't do any damage, but it pushed them off the point long enough and maybe confused and maybe made them panic a little bit, so that they had to push back onto the point to keep overtime going. And let's take a look at Zenyatta on Soup on Zenyatta and see what this play of the game is going to look like.
Yeah, again, I mean, just having to face so much pressure in the backline. Troll, Triplet, really Spacefire when he was on the Winston. Everybody was coming the way of Soup, and Soup just did such a good job to weather that storm. You see how close I am to my camera right now? I was just in my laptop. I had to, like, watch this match. I had to be there for it. Let me back up. I'll give you guys some space. All right, I'm sorry about that. Really, really great job by the Hammerheads, again, to stay alive and weather that storm and just stay strong in overtime. I mean, so many great plays happened, even in just, like, the last 1 minute.
100%. Yeah. And if they, like we were saying, if we were saying if the Hammerheads wanted to get back into this series, they had to win game number 3, and they did just that, right? In it wasn't dominant fashion as they went to extra time, really, but the push that made it dominant was decisive, right? I mean, they, on no time whatsoever, they made it all the way basically to that 6th point. And we basically almost saw a draw in map number 3, the way that it looked like the Stingrays were pushing forward. But actually, we couldn't have seen a draw because they didn't get to the 6th point. But we almost did. Either way, it was close. Crazy map number 3. But we've got more action coming your way. Map number 4. In a best of 7, Hammerheads now striking within 1. Stingrays still lead at 2-1. Before we go, I want to tell you all a little bit about a live event at Esports Tower First coming to Shenandoah University, the Gauntlet Games. They're going to be here on February 11th, and that's going to be an Esports Tower exclusive where players can sign up and participate, compete here live in person at the Esports Arena at Shenandoah University. It's going to be an amazing time. And if you'd like to learn more or sign up yourself, go check it out at esportstower.com/GG. We're going to take a quick break and come back with game number 4. We'll see you then.
You want to rank up in Overwatch or Valorant? Score pro advice at esportstower.com. Improve your game sense, improve your team play, improve your performance under pressure. We'll match you with great players and professional coaches to help you rank up.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Esports Tower Rumble Championship. We have the semifinals, the Stingrays facing off against the Hammerheads. We're here live from Shenandoah University. I'm here live from Shenandoah University. Kyler Apgar joining me on the desk over in Columbus, Ohio. Welcome, my friend. We've got a heater of a matchup here as the Hammerheads have struck back, now pulling within one game here in the semifinals. And we're going to game number 4. What are you looking for the Hammerheads if you want to continue pushing the envelope against the Stingrays here?
they just got to keep finding these early picks, man. They got to be able to respond, and that's what they did in Kings Row so well. Before in the early rounds, they were getting hit, they were getting picks, and they weren't able to respond. They weren't able to find a pick to retaliate, to really do anything. They kind of just had to accept what was happening to them, and it was brutal. And they did it. They finally brought it back in Kings Row. We have a series on our hands now, Xander. I'm fired up, baby.
I am fired up too. I'll tell you what. And if the Stingrays are able to bounce back in their own fashion, then they'll obviously have quite the lead. But we could be finding ourselves in a 2-2 situation, essentially in a race to 3 to get to that map number 4 for either team. Best of 7 is such a long series to stay focused, especially at this high level of play. And it seems like these players are doing it phenomenally, as we just saw the Hammerheads. We've seen them lose several rounds and several maps in a row, and then eventually able to bounce back and persevere in map number 3, and then eventually take it home late into map number 3. So really, really shows, I think, some of the great coaching they've got over at Esports Tower. Obviously, they're working with coaches consistently throughout all of these big-time matchups, especially in this Rumble Championship. So going to be interesting to see how they continue either way. But let's go ahead and take a look at map number 4. Going over here, it's going to be Push on Coliseum. So our first push map of the day. And again, another one of those. I made a little bit of a misstep there earlier on when I was saying that map number 1 was going to be Push. It is pretty traditional here over on Esports Tower for Push to be our opener, but Push is going to be our 4th map of the day. And now we're in the sort of reverse tug of war where you want to get to the other side of the map, pushing the robots to basically into the enemy base, which you get closer to their spawns. It gets a little bit more hectic and crazy to deal with, as you really need to be able to sustain those pushes and continue to stagger respawns, get the picks, and eventually push out. But sometimes this just goes to time because it really is that difficult to push all the way through.
Yeah, it's a big old tug of war, man. No kidding. And it's a new game mode here introduced in Overwatch 2. Now that we've had some time for it to really be incorporated, I think that we've had our teams be able to adjust appropriately and really find the flow of these games that can take a lot longer, that can have a really long return from spawn, particularly on Palacio, as you will see here as we start to get around closer to the second point on either side. And it's going to be really interesting to watch here how these teams adjust. I want to highlight something that you pointed out in terms of the perseverance of the Hammerheads, because I think that is an intangible that is something that can be coached and kind of needs to be to some degree. It needs to be found within players. But I think it really speaks to the caliber of player that we're seeing here on the Hammerheads. It's not easy to come back in a long 7-game series like this, down 2-0, and find a win like that, a really gritty win,
Oh
something
yeah.
that you touched on earlier. It wasn't dominant. It wasn't something that was given to them. They had to really want that. They had to really work for it.
I mean, honestly,
From their grasps.
they're going to need to continue to really want it all the way through. It seems like Stingrays have been in the driver's seat for the majority of this series so far, and only then relented with the perseverance of the Hammerheads. And we've got all our players in lobby ready to go for map number 4. But before we do, got a quick announcement. We want to take a moment to congratulate all of the Esports Tower Club members who have graduated from the clubs and have been offered scholarships across the country. Over the last 3 months, Esports Tower Club members have received over $3.9 million in scholarship awards, Kyler. These students have not only worked hard on their in-game play, but worked hard academically and have earned these scholarship opportunities. The players on this list are talented, hardworking, and driven, and we could not be more excited and proud to see all the opportunities these players are getting. Unbelievable stuff, and Esports Tower able to open up these doors for the players as they continue to compete week in and week out and achieve scholastic greatness, competitive greatness, and achieve scholarships to a lot of these great universities. So there is a light at the end of the tunnel for a lot of these players. There is a reason that you come to Esports Tower week in and week out as a player. It opens up doors and gives these players an opportunity to continue to compete at the next level with a little bit of scholarship help in many cases. So really amazing stuff to see, and really hope that a lot of you can already tell a lot of these players that we're watching here tonight are going to be getting offered scholarships, whether they're moving on to college next year or in the future as they graduate from high school. Because a lot of these players may not necessarily be seniors. They could be, freshmen, sophomores that are really just trying to get reps with some older players, get an opportunity to compete on actual teams with coaches and get that experience at a really sort of organized competitive level. And they're really getting a jump start to their competitive careers, which is really amazing stuff.
The pipeline grows stronger every day, man. It's awesome to see the growth in this space go from, collegiate, or rather go from professional to collegiate to scholastic, and now for scholastic to be strengthened and really now to feed from the ground up. It's going to be amazing to watch, and I'm glad that we're here and we're a part of it right now.
Yeah, we're a part of the pipeline, whether we recognized it or not. We're the voice for them currently, as what for better or for worse.
And no kidding. Whether you like it or not, we're going to do it. As we see both teams roll out here on the point, we see Blake go down early. Stingrays controlling this fight, but now Hammerheads starting to put the pressure on to get the first points on the board. Spacefire really going to be absorbing a lot of this damage here, as you can see, up to 80 charge very quickly. That is something dangerous to see, but Soup finds C squared. Soup just been in absolute dominant Zenyatta, just putting so much pressure on from the back line. We see Echo online trying to get in, trying to do some damage, pushing Spacefire and the Stingrays alike back as Hammerhead control this robot here first, and again continue to attack their score up on the board here. Nothing to complain about though if you're the Stingrays. As you can see, overclock goes on for Illusion quickly. Spacefire charged up, putting a ton of damage out, finding 3 here early, and that's going to do it. The Stingrays are now going to take control of this robot and start to put some points of their own on the board here, Xander.
And I like that move there from the Hammerheads, though, right? They get the pick and then they push around to try and get a little bit of extra space. They didn't necessarily get a lot of movement and early points, but they took a pick and they took some space, right? So that is kind of setting the tone for how they're trying to look to continue this map number 4. And if they're going to win at any point, they're going to need to learn to take real estate off of those picks. And I think that's a really great way to open this map, even though now the Stingrays find themselves in command of the payload here. And going to continue on. It seems as though they may be actually getting pushed back by the Hammerheads. So that's a really nice stop there.
Hammerheads regained really well, and you'll see that. I mean, this is just the nature of the beast. I called it tug of war earlier because it really is. If you're the Hammerheads, you just gave up about 46 meters, but I don't think you're super pressed about that. You see that happen a lot, where as you start to proceed here, as you get closer to the enemy spawn, again, I mentioned that spawn time, or that return from spawn, becomes so long on these push maps, and it just becomes really difficult. One pick, it can be a death sentence here, and what we saw happen to the Hammerheads a little bit earlier, and Stingrays were able to respond. There's of their own on the board, but now the Hammerheads kind of continue, but a really staunch defense here by the Stingrays. We see that Hammerhead Grav come out here and now finds one with the tire and finds Spacefire as well. Frozen Phoenix now follows up with the closing it up there as well, finding Triplet, and the Hammerheads regain the lead and are now very close to activating this one. I don't know if the Stingrays are going to be able to get a touch on it.
That was a really nice stagger there. I really appreciated Spacefire taking up space, going up the stairs and pursuing one of the final members of the Stingrays to maybe get a short little stagger and get some extra distance. And they were able to get a little extra distance as a team before the next engagement. Now it's just going to be Echo Online and Spacefire basically just in each other's faces as they, the chaos continues. And Stingray's starting to get a little bit of a retake here and trying to regain control of the robot and the map itself. But here we go, Blank.
We'll continue to see that back and forth as well here, and that's what I was mentioning is so interesting about this push gameplay. That before the robot can start to push, you can see fights happen in between, which is what we're seeing happen here. So the Stingrays are now working their way up, trying to get this lead, but the Hammerheads have this favorable spawn. All they need to do is try to find one of these picks early, and that's going to really put the Stingrays in a compromising position here. As you can see, the Hammerheads engaging this fight, jumping off the bridge, putting the pressure on. We see the overload clock come on here by Illusion. Let's see if it's enough to try and find a pick. Frozen Phoenix has the overclock online as well, but is holding it at the moment. We see the grab now come out here by Spacefire, and that's going to be a dangerous one, but Soup is going to find Illusion and pop Trance. Unbelievable play here by Soup, who's just been so strong the entire time here. Frozen Phoenix does pop overclock, but just lets it kind of go by the wayside and does enough to find themselves at 100% charge here. Spacefire now continuing to put the damage on. Spacefire finds two. Diamond's able to find one. Blake's able to find Troll. And Stingrays are going to be able to stay in the lead here. Again, such a tough spot to be in if you're the Stingrays. Look how far you have to come back from spawn.
Yeah.
It is absurd. But they're doing a really good job of staying on the front foot and regaining. Spacefire stays alive throughout this entire time and is doing enough to really contest here. Great trance by Triplet, who is now on the Zenyatta and is able to stay alive. And really, I shout that trance out because, again, it mitigates having to go through that long spawn. Both teams are trading back and forth like crazy. Both Junkrats are finding so much value here. Soup finds C-squared and Blink finds Illusion as well, and that's going to allow the Hammerheads to really try and take advantage here and take control of this robot and put it back into enemy territory. I don't think they'll be able to do enough to get any additional meterage here and put any score on the board, but even just getting this robot now in the hands of the Stingrays are really back into their territory and forcing them to fight on their side.
Yeah, you're taking time off the clock.
All you need, exactly. 3.5 minutes now on the clock. We see Blank go out early, which is going to be rough, but really a standout DPS here for the Hammerheads. Stingrays are going to get on control, but the Hammerheads can certainly contest this, make this uncomfortable for them, and not give up any ground.
Yeah, and I was really impressed with the last stand that they made back on their bridge, the Hammerheads bridge. And what they did is what I thought was a very conservative defense, what actually turned out to be a really great way to draw in the Stingrays and kind of create their own fights until they finally got a pick or two and then burst out. And that was basically that last push was off the back of that kind of conservative bend don't break defense into get a pick into now we can push to their side. So now we'll have to see whether or not that defense can stand once again. Blank falling unfortunately for the Hammerheads, so that's going to be a man down for the Hammerheads as Stingrays continuing to push. They don't quite have the lead though, 2.5 minutes on the clock, but everything is looking really nice for the Stingrays as they do kind of trade out a couple of kills, but it still seems as though the Stingrays have the advantage, and it looks like they have just now taken over the lead in map number 4. Just over 2 minutes to go, and now it's up to the Hammerheads and whether or not they are able to pull back in the lead and push this series to continue.
Triplet is a menace, dude. Just this Zen pick has been insane. They just picked up like 4 consecutive kills, put the Hammerheads on the back.
Oh no, Caster Curse.
Now, and now Illusion finds Soup as well. And the Stingrays are looking really strong now in the depths of this game, but Blank finds the tire from across the map. That's insane. Let's see if they're able to capitalize upon this. The trance comes out here by Soup just to keep the team alive, and that's a double with the tire, and that's going to do a ton now to allow the Hammerheads back into this game. Blank on the junk is trying to give the Hammerheads an opportunity. 1 minute and 15 seconds left on the board for the Hammerheads to try and turn this around. 50 meters separating them from the Stingrays. And that's just going to be a monumental turnaround, but it is possible here. Let's see what they can do, Xander.
Yeah, the problem is winning a fight that deep in your own territory just gives you the opportunity to have an offensive push, right? You're basically just stopping them from being on offense, and now you finally get to be on offense. But they have 45 seconds left on the clock. If they're able to sustain a fight and stay on that robot and push it into overtime, then they could potentially sneak one through. But it has to be a huge continuous push with just 30 seconds left on the clock. It's a very, very tall task for the Hammerheads. Stingrays are looking pretty, but I have seen crazier things happen.
Yeah, as you say that, the Stingrays start to go out here and just start popping off here. Frozen Phoenix trying to 1v. Oh, but they get 2 picks back. It's really going to be down to Frozen Phoenix here. I'm not sure it's going to be enough. It's going to be a tall order 1v3, it looks like. Not sure. Let's see if they're able to get the touch here.
Oh, can hold the touch around the corner.
Starting to get back. This is gonna, but Triplet again has just been dominant, but we see Triplet fall there, puts Frozen Phoenix down from the grave as well. Echo Online is trying to do everything they can to get Test. I don't know if it's gonna be enough as Sune goes down. See Chairman with a big immortality field, puts the window down as well. But the Stingrays are gonna put it away on Palacio and go up 3-1. Really intense back and forth there. Stingray still managed to come out on top. Great play.
Let me see a Junkrat. Oh, wow, Triplet.
You have to know it was Triplet here with this big 3K that shorted up. Look at this demon, dude.
Wow.
Just finds so much value from so many positions.
Turns around, gets another. Wow.
Crosshair placement's always in the right spot. We know what to expect from Triplet at this point.
Yeah, well, I'll say if the Hammerheads stuck their foot in the door, the Stingrays just really threw their shoulder against it to keep that action of closing the door on the series in motion. It is not all lost for the Hammerheads, but the Stingrays certainly going up 3-1 in the series, only needing one more to close out the best of 7. Certainly puts them in a great position here to move on to the grand finals against the Barracudas. And I will say all of this, as this matchup has been incredible, but you have a absolute monster of the Barracudas waiting in the grand final. So whoever makes it out of this semifinal, even if it is just a scrape and claw your way out of it situation, you now have to face the juggernaut that is the Barracudas. So their work will not be over by any means whatsoever once they get through this series. So Stingrays looking good. Looking good.
Up 3-1, right? They're in a strong position. I think you'd probably take them at this point to probably close the series out. Again, it's tough to win 3 straight matches against these guys.
Yes.
The fact that we were able to see them drop one on Kings Row already. Again, there's really great heart here shown by the Hammerheads. They've got it in them. They've got the ability to win. And I mean, 3-1 feels like a lot. 3-2 feels like pretty reasonable.
I mean, I will say the Hammerheads did have a reverse sweep against the Stingrays in the round robin series. So, they know how to do it. It's just execution at this point. So,
it can happen.
I mean, this competition is absolutely insane. And I'll say it one more time. If you'd like to see more action from Esports Tower, you can check out all of their Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, all of these. Yes, right here. You can see, I'm trying to figure out where my fingers actually go on the screen. Esports Tower, you can find everything. And if you want to see a little bit more from Shenandoah University, you can check out our socials at ShenU Esports. That's Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And then, of course, our YouTube and Twitch. Are you trying to point now too? Is Shenandoah Esports. So if you want to find more from either one of our great organizations, you can check out all of those links, and you can probably find those in the dashboard down below as well. But we've got a little bit more Overwatch action ahead of us. So let's take a look at the overview of the matchup. Now, this is a best of 7, but we didn't want to put everything on the board and fill up the entire screen with 7 blocks. So we're taking it 5 and then 2 at a time. So if we happen to make it to the next 2, then you'll see those on the screen as well. But the next map, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We've got Lijiang Tower going to another control map. Last time we saw a control map, this was map number 1 on Oasis. We saw the Hammerheads take round number 1, and then the Stingrays start their domination as they won the remaining 2, and then map number 2, and then nearly snuck by in map number 3 and regained some footing there in map number 4. So it really is anybody's ball game here as we move into map number 5, going into a little bit familiar territory. And if you're the Hammerheads, you kind of have to shake not only the last loss that you got on the previous map, but also the last control loss that you got in map number 1, right? You got to shake both of those off and figure out how you can move forward into map number 5, because the series is not over yet. You just got to continue forward. Again, like I said, play the next game. Don't worry about any other ones. Play the next game. Hopefully win it. Then you can push the series longer.
Backs against the wall right now. I'm really excited to see how the Hammerheads kind of take advantage of this opportunity. And yeah, like you said, they've really got to dig deep, go back to that Oasis round and see what went right, what went wrong. They were able to take that first round on Oasis. So they have control ability. They can do it.
Absolutely.
It's just going to be really having to dig deep again, find it out there, and fight this match point off, man. I'm excited to see how they do it.
That's right. And I think it all starts with some sneaky grenades from Blank. It's going to take some great IGL calling and in the leader of Frozen Phoenix being their main tank. And it can all start off the back of one single player, either making a great call, making a great play, and then the rest of the team can sweep through and build off of the momentum and damage done by that player. And all of a sudden, the Hammerheads have won a fight. All of a sudden, they've won a second fight, and they've won a round. And then maybe they won a map, and then all of a sudden, maybe it's 3-2.
Yeah. And 3-2, again, it feels a lot more digestible. You're just like, all right, now if we get this to 3-3, it's anybody's ball game. But
100%.
Again, against this really...
Sorry.
It's all you. It's all you. It's all I love you.
We both were just like in a standoff, like who's going to let the other person finish. No, I mean, if I'm Stingrays and all of a sudden the Hammerheads have won the last 2 after we come back from our break, and it's now 3-2. It's a little bit crazier, a little bit closer. I guess it wouldn't be the back-to-back because Stingrays just won the last one, but they get a little bit of momentum going, and Stingrays might start to sweat a little bit. So this could be just as pivotal as game number 3, where Hammerheads were able to pull out their first win of their match. And now early on, Stingrays finding the advantage to kill down onto Soup, but then trading out for Triplet. Triplet being an absolute superstar in this series so far. Now C-Squared falling as well. Now finally Hammerheads potentially getting a little bit of an advantage here in this early team fight.
This pharmacy is the bane of Junkrat's existence. Blank went absolutely berserk there and found 3, managed to put C-Squared down and really just hamper the progression of Illusion there on Pharah, who was getting a ton of value in the backline and just going around like crazy. But we see Hammerheads managed to do it. You talked about an individual inspired performance, and maybe it's Blank here who has shown a ton of promise as the DPS of the Hammerheads. And we see the Javelin come out by Echo Online and throw Spacefire off the edge of the map. You see Triplet just watching horror.
If you don't have flight, it is a risky maneuver going out to the terrace and finding your way in from there, because you never know what's going to be waiting for you. And in this case, it was certainly an outward force sending you to the abyss below. Oh boy.
Absolutely. And it was just perfectly executed there by the Hammerheads, taking advantage of that opportunity. Ult coming down here by Echo Online. Gets some good damage, but it isn't a whole ton as we see the Kitsune Rush come out, and the Stingrays now just absolutely go crazy on a point, and this is what we saw out of them on these control maps, folks. Just dominant fight wins, but Hammerheads have put up 63 now. They are not in an unwinnable spot here. Big switch by the Stingrays, though, I think is what really enabled that win here. We see Spacefire go on to the Zarya, really put out a ton of damage. We see C-Squared go on to Zenyatta as well. Swap from that Mercy, which is bold typically, to really enable that Pharah that Illusion has put down so far, but worked out so far. You can't argue with their methodology, especially with everything that they've done on these control maps so far. Illusion goes in, Mirage goes out, and Blank is able to find Troll, and Soup puts the window down and finds two, and now all of a sudden the Hammerheads are on the front foot here. Blank finds C-Squared with the tire, and Hammerheads are going to swap this point over, Xander, against all odds.
How did that happen?
Oh, look at Dearman. He knows what it means for the team. You're able to see, again, we're not in their comms, but the emotion coming out, the shaky screen, they know what has just happened. And now Hammerheads are on the verge of closing out this first round. Once more, Kitsune Rush in the pocket. Blank goes out early. That's going to be brutal. Kitsune Rush goes down here from both teams. There goes the Trance as well, and Stingrays are going to maintain. They're going to do it 90% and counting. Probably going to end at about 93 here for the Hammerheads. They need to win one more fight, Xander.
That's all it's going to take.
Really going to feel tough.
Yeah, if they end up losing this round, it's going to certainly Sting.
Stingray. Tough, man.
Who's Ray, and why is he still hanging out with bees?
Yeah, man, you just get this Ray guy out of here. Yeah, we'll see. It's gonna be tough bouncing back in here for the Hammerheads. Stingrays established solid defense, but let's see what they're able to do. Again, the Hammerheads really just need to get this one fight out. I know that they can feel it coming on here. They can feel the pressure. They can feel this series in their grasp. They know it's here. No picks coming out just yet. Really taking their time engaging this fight as the window. Great window again by the Baptiste of the Hammerheads. They're finding it all here. Spacefire goes down. Soup on this Baptiste is an absolute animal. 3K is going crazy here. We're going to see Illusion launch themselves off the map, and that's going to be all she wrote here for round one.
Wow.
Goes in favor of the Hammerheads. Xander.
Soup. Unreal performance from this player. Setting up the team, just lights out play. And if they're able to win this game and continue on, you're going to be looking for Soup having an impact every step of the way. Unreal.
Listen, we all better be happy that NIL sponsorship deal took place, because I see a Campbell's sponsorship in my future here for Soup.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yep. I'm with you.
Yeah, this sound is like, I don't know where it's going.
But I'm on board.
This series has been going on for so long. We're starting to lose it here in the booth. It's going unbelievably. The Hammerheads have put themselves now in a position to really put themselves at this 3-2 and really strike back in this series, as we see the Hammerheads now swap onto this sim and move on to point quickly. I love to see when teams really take the initiative here, but we see Illusion find the boop here, sticking with that Pharah that worked really so well, but Hammerheads were still able to really find a way to contest. Illusion now finding two, and the Stingrays are in a position to take advantage of this. However, Hammerheads are putting points on the board. First control point with that quick rotation they put with Sim. We see Soup just trying to stay alive, contest point as long as possible, and just continue to put points up, and that's what they're doing here. But it's only going to last so long. Going to end at about 17% here as Stingrays go ahead and flip it over to themselves. And
that was surprising to me. That was surprising to me. The Hammerheads were able to sneak out first control and get some points on the board when it seemed like all Stingrays were on point. but somehow able to draw them off long enough to get control of the point. And now 18 to 18, Stingrays in the lead, taking away the space, really. And creating space from the actual point that the Hammerheads need to contest. And this is a really great job, especially from Illusion, using all the height of that main courtyard and not really giving an opportunity for any Hammerheads to slip through. Because not only are you putting the damage down, but you're basically the eyes in the sky. You're the one getting all the information. You know that there's too far back. You're able to get some shots on them, but it's the information that is almost just as important.
Is really now waiting on this barrage. They know that they're able to make a difference. It's like shooting fish in a barrel for them, really, as they were kind of funneling out of that main point. And now we see the barrage come out. It's going to find 2 right off the bat. Let's see if they're able to pick any more up as well. Spacefire is able to jump right in and clean up any that were left. And this was the Stingrays of old that we were seeing on that Oasis control map. Just absolutely dominant play. Xander, you put it so succinctly, man. Taking away space, not even just moving into it and occupying it, but restricting the Hammerheads from moving into it. We see Blank now getting really close to this visor that's gonna have to make the difference. The ults are coming out early again by Stingrays, the Primal Rage, the Kitsune Rush. Troll has Overclock online.
Ooh, snuck one by.
Yeah, now we see Blank move back here and pop visor, but it's not going to be enough. 99% online. Moves into overtime, and that's going to do it. We're going to round 3, match point for the Stingrays.
Wow. And yeah, they won the first team fight there, and were able to get, main control, but boy, that barrage through what was essentially one of the main pushes right around midpoint of that round for the Hammerheads just shut down any push that they had there and future pushes. And I mean, I'm so glad that we got to stay on Illusion's perspective for that basically the entire round, because we got to see not only the information that he was getting by flying around and taking a peek over the buildings, but also the damage that went down. Unbelievable round from Illusion, and really no slouches from the rest of the team as they were backing up on the ground 100%, creating basically just an immovable wall that the Hammerheads had to try and fight through.
Yeah, I really loved seeing the way that Illusion constructed that barrage. Just waited so patiently the entire time and unfurled it, like you said, just did so much damage and really shored up that the Stingrays would win that round. And now they
this just seems like the hardest thing in the world to do. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're seeing insane Quake gameplay happening right now, essentially, is what it feels like. We're both of these jumping around in the sky. I mean, if Illusion lands a missile onto Frozen Phoenix, you really have to celebrate that.
Oh my gosh, yes. I think we were all waiting for that to happen.
Echo's so difficult to hit, really. And Hammerheads now are finding some picks here as we see Stingrays took control first. Frozen Phoenix now trying to counter Illusion with this Echo pick. Hammerheads are able to swap it over to themselves now. And let's see, we might have a game on our hands now, Xander.
I think that's super interesting.
Might not be done just yet.
I mean, they saw the impact that Illusion was having, through flight in basically a no-ceiling arena that we're on currently. And they decided, okay, we're going to pick 3 people that can fly, and we'll see if you can hit them. And basically could no longer do that. And we're back in the position where the Hammerheads have regained and now starting to close that space as well, putting on a little bit of pressure themselves. But of course, Echo Online going down, but trading out for Troll, so not all is lost, especially when you're the one ticking up those points. A really nice grab from Spacefire. Oh my goodness, Soup.
Oh, and pulls Frozen Phoenix off the map. Oh, this new Spacefire is a monster.
Wow.
What an insane play. Had to stand still to record that one.
Yeah, of course. He's going. Gotta clip it. See, these players are working overtime, right? I mean, they're working double time. They gotta catch their clips and create some reels for future recruiters potentially at the collegiate level. So I think that's a really smart play.
which better ones? I mean, when you're just popping off like Spacefire is, I would love to see what the hook percentage is right now because they're just landing
Very
all of
high.
them
Oh,
and
lost
just
that one.
making
That's all right. But he hooked the wall,
casters
so
curse
you
there.
know.
Yeah, it was a tough one. It was a narrow miss.
Yeah, of course.
In my books, it still counts all the same.
Oh,
And now
okay.
here comes the whole hog to really open this space up. Really great immortality field there by Soup, though, to keep the team alive.
Wow.
And that's the window's going to go down, and now Hammerheads are going to flip this thing on its head.
Team kill.
Yep, and take control of point. And this one is going back and forth. No team is letting this thing go lightly, Xander. We're going to see a photo finish here, one way or another.
Oh, 100%. Hammerheads do not want to let this series go by any means, and now clawing their way back. It is round number 3, map number 5. And if they lose, then they will take 3rd place here in the championship semifinals. And Stingrays will move along, but we are far from that happening as, wow, actually maybe not. The Stingrays starting to put a little bit of damage down onto the Hammerheads and regain control of this middle area. And that may just be enough as actually they're still contesting.
Still contesting. He replicated the Lucio.
Oh, that is tricky and difficult to deal with.
Managed to get the Hammerheads up to 92%. Bought them some time. They can take their time on this engagement here, Xander. I mean, time is starting to run out. Stingrays are certainly in a strong position, but you don't have to rush yourself here. You have time. They know that. They're organizing this
Don't want to wait too long, though.
No, definitely not, but they're going to go with this rotation. Oh, but Triplet finds the boop. Oh my gosh, 95.
Oh,
Tyrman
wow.
goes down. Stingrays are in position here. They're hunting it out. The grab goes down. That's 3 for the Hammerheads. The beep goes down as well. I can't speak. I called it a beep. I don't know what that is, but that's going to do it. The Stingrays have won. They put it away. What a showing. They were so strong.
Wow.
In the end, the Hammerheads fought to the end, but it wasn't enough.
And of course, Triplet, the final boop off the map, gonna set the tone for that final team fight. And this actually, we might actually get to see it here as he's gonna get a little cheeky maneuver.
Just like Oasis, Triplet finding a play of the game.
Wow.
Gets the beat off there at the end as well. Just incredible showing from both sides. I feel like standout performances from really every position across this series.
We really got an opportunity.
Awesome to watch.
Yeah, we got an opportunity to see all positions, all players shine at different moments throughout the matches. And I mean, everything from our support to tank to DPS line, it seemed like every moment there was an opportunity for these players to have one of those plays that lit their team on fire. And we did see many times with the teams just having those cool moments where the entire team would rally around them and get an opportunity to push through. And this one, unfortunately for the Hammerheads, is going to go over to the Stingrays, and the Stingrays will advance to the championship match next week against the Barracudas. So that's going to be an amazing match to watch, and we'll see what sort of domination the Stingrays can transfer over to playing against the Barracudas, because traditionally through the round robin, we got to see the Barracudas do basically have their run of the mill of how they wanted to play against either the Stingrays or the Hammerheads, if you can believe it, as dominant as we saw the Stingrays play tonight, and how the Hammerheads would fight back and forth. I mean, they're clearly very evenly matched teams, and there's a reason that the Barracudas are waiting in the championship match for them, as they have proven themselves through the round robins to be a very, very dominant force in this 3-team championship that we have here. So I'm excited to see how all of those are going to be shaping out next week.
No, I mean, it's just continuous talent from every aspect. It's been awesome to watch. The Stingrays Barracuda matchup is going to be blockbuster. Just truly unbelievable. Before I focus too much on that, I just want to shout out the Hammerheads. Just they showed so much heart throughout this whole thing. Gritty win on Kings Row. Gritty round wins on both the control maps. They gave such an entertaining series. And I really just see just such a bright future for all those players ahead.
All the players played incredibly well, but of course, this week's player of the week is going over to the Stingrays triplet. Unbelievable stuff. And this player of the week is presented by Esports Tower. Score pro advice at esportstower.com. Improve your game sense, improve your team play, improve your performance under pressure. You get matched up with great players like Triplet and professional coaches to help you rank up. Unbelievable stuff from Triplet, but not to say that all of the players that we watched this evening did not shine at any particular point throughout the evening. I mean, it was just a treat to get to watch each one of them.
It really was, man, and it was just so fun to be a part of, as always. Great to be here in the booth with you once more. Missed you greatly, but I can feel your energy radiating through this computer screen to me. And again, I'm just so excited to be part of this scholastic pipeline. It's so great to see it being built out and just being filled immediately by these incredible players. It shows so much mechanical ability. And then beyond that, again, the thing that I think separates them apart is these intangibles, these things that are just so hard to teach and so hard to coach and develop. But you see it in these players already at such a young age. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with going forward. I can't wait to see their futures here.
100%. Love to hear it. Thank you so much, Kyler, for joining me on the cast tonight. It's been a long series, and we've got another great one coming at you next week at 6 p.m. Same place, same time, Tuesday night. It's going to be an amazing time, so please come back through to see the face-off against the Stingrays and the Barracudas in a best-of-7 here on Esports Tower. Thank you so much, everyone who's tuned in tonight. We'll see you next week.